Okay, here we go. Ta-da!
Yes,
That's it, right? Okay, here we go. Engaging member. No, that's just faculty. Wait a minute. Okay, so you're looking at the participant guide, right?
the one you just highlighted, yes.
Right.
Oh, I just highlighted it. Okay. Now, how can I move it so that it's out of the way? Because hold on. Because my videos are in the way now. Hold on just a minute. I'll see what I can do about that. Okay.
If you all made a share, I can do that too.
No, I got it. Okay. I just want to point out. So here's our starting point. And I like what Jeff did. At least I think he did this. I had to step away briefly after I got here. Underneath the title of this lesson, it says, there's a little saying there. It says, I make my club and Rotary stronger by my active participation. So keep those words in mind, active participation, because this is the key to engaging your members. Let's look at the session goal. It says goals, but there's only one, and that is to explore the value and options of engaging our members. In other words, why is it important to us? The materials that we have are particularly good materials. The first three, the sample membership satisfaction survey, I hope we have some time to, I'm going to ask Jeff to talk about that because we have done this survey in my club now twice, and Jeff has administered both times. I'd like for him to give you a quick, if we have time at the end, how we used it and how we applied it to our club. There's some good ideas on engagement, on delivering value, and we're going to take a look at this briefly in EM2. And EM3 is a 12-point plan for membership engagement, and it covers a lot of different situations. For example, if any of you have younger members, what we call young professionals, which RI likes to refer to, there's some points in there for how to get them involved and the sort of things that will get them motivated. The remaining materials are available online, and these are all good as well. It's creating your membership development plan, which is basically a PowerPoint presentation. So there's a handout there on club assessment tools that's useful, but the one that I really liked was No Success Without Succession, which really, I think, brings into focus these young professionals and what we need to be doing with them and to get them involved and to get them engaged, if you will. So, and then the last one there is the membership page at www.rotary.org. Okay, so here's where we are. We're going to start off very shortly with the first question about orientation. But before we do that, I got a little question for you. I'm going to now stop this so I can see you because I had to turn that off. There we go. Now, slide this over here. Now I got it the right one. I can see now that half the battle of being a facilitator with this is being able to manipulate everything in your desktop. So before we get started, quick question to you. And that is, when I was doing my research on this, and I've known this for some time because of my time spent with my club as the membership chair. From 2005 to 2011 or 12, I was a membership chair for my club. And I got a chance to attend 2 Rotary presidential membership conferences, one in Denver and one in, which was in 2009, and one in Phoenix in 2010. And I came away with some very interesting ideas out of that. But one of the things that I learned from this is that Rotary, when they talk about membership, they break it down into 3 important components, one of which is what we're talking about right now. And that's engaging members. Engaging means what? What are we trying to do? If we can engage them, what are we doing? We are
keeping their interest.
Yeah, we're keeping their interest. In other words, we want to retain them. Okay, this is how we're going to retain our members. This is retention. That's one of the 3 components. Can anybody tell me what any of the other 2 components of membership are that Rotary International has defined? And it's not in your reading material, so just see if you can think. If retention is keeping the people you have. So what might one of the other ones be?
Attracting new members.
There we go. Thank you, Bill. Attracting new members, which is recruiting. So the first 2 are recruiting and retention. Okay. And then the third one's not so easy. In fact, I asked my colleagues last night, so you guys can't play, all right? I asked my colleagues this the other day when we were practicing, and nobody had the answer. But what do you think the third one is? We got recruiting, which is getting them in the door. We have retention, which is keeping them in your club once you get them through the door. But what's the other third component that Rotary is interested in?
Active participation.
One more?
Active participation in the events of the club.
Okay, that's part of that's part of the engagement process, Bill. That's good. Now, this is completely different. You got to think a little bit out of the box here. I'm going to give you a hint in just a second.
I know, Bruce, for me, when I was president, I had to do a lot of appeasing of the members. Does that count?
That probably falls into engagement as well. Here's a hint. What's been happening to Rotary membership worldwide over the last 10, 15 years?
Aging.
It's aging, yep. What else has happened to it? Is it growing or is it declining?
It's staying about even.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Somebody said something, I missed it.
It's staying about even worldwide.
Thanks, Bill. Yes, it is at what? 1.2 million members, right?
Right.
But there is something else that's growing and has grown significantly over the last 10 years.
Think outside of the club.
We have 1.2 million members in how many clubs?
34,000.
34,000. About 10 years ago, it was maybe less than that, 32,000. So while our membership is staying stagnant, clubs are increasing dramatically. And that is called extension. And if you talk to the Rotary people, the Rotary International folks, especially the ones that came and talked to us at the Presidential Membership Conference that was conducted in Albuquerque in January, they said that one of the best ways to get new members is to start new clubs, particularly if you're trying to attract younger members, because then you can fashion those new clubs the way they need to have their clubs works for them, which we are really not going to go into today. It's not part of what we're talking about, but I just thought I'd throw that out. So the three major components of membership then are recruiting, retention, and extension, which is new clubs. We're going to be talking about retention, and that is how to keep your current members. Now, here's another question. Here's another interesting thing. When I first saw how the Rio Grande Academy was organized and how they structured, what came first, what came second, what came third, I was kind of surprised to see that engaging members, which is retention, is in part one. I thought, okay, it should be kind of like, the first step is to get them in the door. That would be what? Recruiting, right? Let's get them in the door, then let's keep them, and then we'll work on the other things after that. But the Rotary Leadership Institute decided that they would put engaging members in part one. Why do you think that? Anybody?
Well, if it's like most colleges, it costs a lot of money to recruit somebody, so we need to retain them.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good point, Bill. That's part of it.
If you don't engage them, the recruiting didn't matter to begin with.
That's true.
Well, plus they're already here, so we can work on retention strategies more quickly because they're here. Recruitment may take a little bit more time because we have to find them, and so it may just be a question of how long does it take to kind of implement that strategy.
Could be, yeah.
And the longer they're with the club, the more value they add to the club. Whether it's
absolutely. And you guys are all around the answer that I was kind of looking for, and that is that in this particular case, the RLI people organized membership not so much in a natural or logical order that things happen, but what they thought was most important. And at every one of the RI presidential membership conferences that the three that I've attended, it came out very loud and clear that RI believes that Rotary in general does a great job of recruiting. We've recruited 1.2 million people in the last 8 years. Unfortunately, 1.2 million people walked out the door. And so they're saying if we could just increase retention just by a few percentage points, we could have a dramatic effect on membership in Rotary International worldwide. So that's why they put the emphasis on engagement and engaging the members and retention, and that's why it comes first. At least that's why I think they put it first, because they think this is the most important component as it applies to individual members and members that are already here, members that are going to coming into the existing clubs. If you talk about the aging, which Bill mentioned earlier, we have an aging membership cadre, if you will. Anybody know what the average age is of a Rotarian worldwide?
Bet it's close to 60.
It's pretty close, yeah. And actually, I couldn't find that data, Bill, but I'm pretty sure, and it may not be, I think worldwide we might be doing better. I saw that 41% of all Rotarians, I think, are over 50. And I think for sure, maybe even more than that. So we are an aging group. And if we don't do something to get that to reverse, and every year that age gets higher and higher and higher. So eventually, we'll just kind of vanish off in the distance if we don't do something. So what we need to do is start to get that average age to go down. So let's talk about then engagement. We're going to take that first question. How will orientation of new members help? First off, let me ask you this question. How many of your clubs actually have an orientation for new members? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill does?
Yep.
Does Hobbs?
No, we don't. And that is one thing I'm implementing this year. It has to be done. Has to be done.
Excellent.
Oh, wow. Who was your past president at Hobbs?
Linda Lakin.
Yeah, Linda's been through the course.
She has.
Oh, tell Linda I'm a little bit disappointed that she didn't do that.
she did her hardest, but it's we've had a new membership chair every year. And it's just, the struggle. So
I understand. That's an interesting. You mentioned something that's quite interesting, and that is the penchant for Rotary, from Rotary in general, for the turnover. They do a nice job, I think, with the assistant governor, with the governor progression, in that you have an incoming governor, then you have a governor-elect, and you have a governor nominee. So there's some stability there, but in the clubs, not all the clubs have president-elects. Some clubs don't know who their president's going to be until like 3 weeks before the new session starts. I'm sure none of us have ever seen that in our clubs, but it does happen. So this thing about having some kind of corporate memory, that would be nice to do, wouldn't it? As it turned out, when I was membership chair of my club, I was membership chair for 7 years. And then I had to train other people because I was going to be the club president. So some of us have it. Rick, do you have an orientation program at Grants Milan?
Yes, it lasts 45 minutes.
45 minutes. What do you cover in it?
Well, we cover the club. We cover the kind of what's expected, how you can grow in the club, active participation in the club when we have events, and the rotation of speakers.
Okay.
So it's not really in depth. It's just kind of an overview.
And when do you do that?
We do that pretty soon after they become a member.
As soon as right after they're inducted, right? Okay.
In the next few weeks.
And Bill Finley, down in Carlsbad, what's your orientation program look like?
Veronica Hernandez is our orientation person, and in fact, I just went through mine about 4 weeks ago, even though I've been here about a year. So I think they're rejuvenating the program. In fact, we have one again tomorrow for our 4 new members that just came in since July. So what we covered, projects we've worked on, projects going forward, how to participate in the club. I don't have everything in front of me here, but it was pretty interesting. It was about 45 minutes. We had a lunch.
Well, if you want to know what the what the capstone program is, or one I think that probably the most developed, one of the most developed. I don't know what everybody does, but I know that the Rotary Club of Albuquerque has a very elaborate orientation program. Bill Dennis, can you tell us real quickly about that?
Well, it consists of a person comes into the club, they're in a white badge, they go through the orientation, which is initial orientation given by the president. Then there's 2 other sessions, which covers a lot of what we're covering right now, the foundation and the giving aspects, and the other is all of the different services, the 5 areas of service. So we try to get them involved. We introduce them to Paul Harris. We introduce them to a lot of other things. Then we have a very strict criteria of things they have to do within. They can do them as fast as they want, but they're very specific about joining a committee, being greeters, being taking part of the club meetings, and so forth. Anyway, there's a lot of other things. I don't have it at the, but basically we're trying to get them oriented to the fact that they are Rotarians. They do need to participate, and we want them to have fun doing it. And we do our utmost to make it that way, and assist them in joining committees and introducing to club members and getting them involved right away.
Okay, very good. Now, has anybody ever thought about doing an orientation before they become a member?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, our club did that, and we'll talk about it in a minute here. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to share, put my self-concept on the line again and see if I can get this to work. Okay, here comes the share screen. We're going to look at the second one of the, there we go. EM3. There we go. I think that's what I'm supposed to be looking. Okay, EM3, 12-point plan for member engagement. And one of these things is this: provide pre-induction orientation program, as well as probably an orientation program for that for the people that are already in the club. And I'm going to talk about the pre-induction here real quick. But here is a 12-point plan for engagement. And I'm not going to go through all this right now, but this is a very good handout for you. And one of the most important things, and one we haven't really done in my club, and by the way, we have 56 members in our club. I'll bet you that the downtown club, the Albuquerque club, has probably something like a membership services committee. Do you have one, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. And probably their responsibilities is all the things you see underneath that. Okay, measure the club's history of engagement. In other words, how successful has your club been in retaining members? Okay, does everybody know what the going rate of people leaving is in Rotary right now? How long the new people stay? And how many of them stay?
About 3 years.
Right. And how many in that 3 years leave? Now, and give me just a percentage, not the numbers, but what do you think the percentage of people, of the new members that come in within the first 3 years, how many go?
20%.
I think it's
I think that was Deb. Is that you, Deb?
Yes, half.
Okay, yeah, half. I've got you covered. I got everybody covered here with mine. Let me move this. Half the people leave, of the new members leave in the first 3 years. Okay, so, and the reason that they leave is that they never really understood what Rotary was about anyway. And that's because they probably didn't have an orientation program. They didn't have a mentor. They didn't have anyone to sit down with them and explain, here's what Rotary is all about. Or they didn't know when they were recruited. I'm afraid that, I'm thinking that in many cases, the club president puts the word out, we need members. Everybody go out and bring somebody in. And there's not much, there's not much conversation out there that, somebody says, well, I'll bring this person in because they seem like they might be a good Rotarian. That person doesn't know anything about Rotary. And the next thing you know, when they come in, it's really not a good fit. So, so these are some things that we can do. Obviously, you'll get them used to the club, provide pre-induction orientation. have a mentor. Anybody have a mentor program in their club?
No.
No. We used to. I'm hoping we can get one going again in the Del Sol Club. That's useful too. It's a good idea, by the way, that your mentor not be the sponsor, because you just don't know how much the sponsor knows. You should have your mentors trained to know about the club, the history of the club, something about Rotary International, how things work. Okay. One idea is conduct a reception for new members. Okay. Our club has never done that. We do have a pretty good, I think, induction ceremony, but nothing beyond that. Although we do have social opportunities to introduce our new members. So this is just a list of some ideas. And Deb, you may be able to get some ideas here on what to do for your orientation program. And I'd be happy to share with you our club's orientation program. In fact, Jeff Weinrack is in charge of that right now because he's our club's membership chair. Okay, so we're gonna
I appreciate that.
stop sharing that. And there we go. That worked okay. So that we know, we can see that, so why is this important though? What is it, whether you do it before, which I think is a good idea, and I'll talk about that in a minute. What do you think? What is it about orientation that will help engage members?
There's so many reasons. I mean, it's educational. You don't have that question is what is Rotary? You get to meet other members. You learn about Rotary. I did not have an orientation, and I am just learning, going through this process of being a president. I've learned more through pets. So I feel like I have missed out on so many things that I could have engaged in. But I didn't know these opportunities were out there. And I've even stated that after I complete my year of presidency, that this is a committee that I would like to chair, because it's just, I'm very heavily involved with volunteer recruitment. So this is just right up my alley. And I see the importance of it, but it's, I can't do everything myself. So.
Okay. Rick.
But anyways.
Any ideas? Why is this important as far as engaging? Why is this orientation important in engaging members?
Well, I was going to say, I add to what Deb said. My orientation was, while it did last 45 minutes or so, it was very informal. Not a lot of substance to it. And so I've agreed, or, I agree with Deb that I've learned more in working with you, going to pets, and actually being the president kind of OJT training. And like Deb, I thought I want to take a step back, either work in membership, be the sergeant of arms, be the secretary.
Right.
Learn more about the club.
Great. Okay. And Bill Finley, what are your thoughts?
Well, a couple things that come to mind. And again, I'm still relatively new here. I think it's important, probably right after the first year, that the new members get involved in either a committee or a lower board position or something, so that they're better networked. I mean, we see these folks one day a week at lunch, and we don't often. We're supposed to move around to different tables, but very often we're very niche oriented, and we all sit with the same people. So, and I don't know whether I read it in this or not, but I think as a follow up to these new members, they should maybe like once every other month they should stand in front of the club and tell us what they think they've learned so far, how their participation's gone. Because we've never I don't think we've ever surveyed our members, at Carlsbad at least, and I'm going to mention to my boss tomorrow that I think we should probably do that almost immediately. But I think our problem is that we get a new member in, they sit with their sponsor, they don't really network with the other members, and they probably do lose interest if they're not, engaged in some committee work or fundraiser almost immediately. So that's my gut feeling.
Okay. And I know the Downtown Club, Bill, does a really good job of orienting people, but I don't know if they do anything before induction. Do you have an orientation program for them?
No, we don't do anything. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is for the other Bill.
That's okay. Once a person decides to come in, you're right. We don't have a general session where we talk about Rotary or the things that interest us, or what Rotary is all about. That's usually up to the sponsor that brings them in to take care of that stuff. We try to keep everybody educated, but the three-step program, the white plastic name tag, they want the red badge, so they have to go through the orientation before they get the red badge. And then within a year, like you were saying, Bill, they need to be on committees and involved with the club. Now, whether they stay beyond that or not, and I believe true too that the sponsor, or I know Del Norte feels that no sponsor should be involved as a mentor, but I believe that that person needs to be taken to committee meetings, even if you don't belong to that committee or whatever. Stay with them, introduce them around, get them involved, and tell them what's excited about all of that. But it's probably a good idea of prospective members to get together on a social occasion or something, learn a little bit about Rotary before they ever come in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that Rotary International is purporting, is that if we did a better job of orienting our new members before they came in and right after they're inducted, maybe we wouldn't have this 50% loss rate within the first 3 years of new members. I will tell you that everybody does it differently. We have a red badge program as well. But we're hearing now from the membership cadre. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. The membership cadre was put together within our zone to provide assistance to clubs in all of our zone, all the clubs in our zone, plus other clubs outside of our zone, and helping them get improve their membership retention and recruiting. And one of the things they mentioned about new members, younger members, young professionals, they don't like the idea of, hey, I come in the club and I don't get a badge, I get something different. I've been singled out. He says, I'm a Rotarian, just like you guys, but I'm singled out. And so there's this big deal now about, with younger members, they don't like this idea of being singled out separately until they have completed all this stuff, and then, okay, now you're really a Rotarian. And the reason for that is our younger members want to start out right away, and they want to make a difference right away. They don't want to sit. They don't want to be waiting to become a Rotarian. Yeah, Bill.
The word around our club, and in Carlsbad, believe it or not, we've got pretty low unemployment, so people can get other jobs pretty quickly. What we find is that a person will join Rotary based on their mentor's recommendation, and their employer may help them with their dues and things, but if they change jobs, then that's put back on them totally, and some people just aren't expecting that. So that's what we're hearing about our turnover rate down here.
Okay. A couple of key things before we leave this topic. If you have the opportunity to orient new, potential members before they join, I think the two most important questions to ask is, what do you expect of Rotary? And then let me tell you what we expect of you as a Rotarian. If you don't know what their expectations are, it's really hard to meet them, okay? And believe me, it's nice to know right off the bat whether a person is coming to serve or whether they just want to connect with other people and improve the sales of their business, okay? We've had a few of those people come through our club. Okay?
Bruce, can I interject something real quick?
Yes, you may.
So one of the things I find interesting about the Rio Grande Academy, or as it's widely known as the Rotary Leadership Institute, is that as a leadership institute, the implication is, or was, that it's for Rotarians aspiring for leadership. And yet what we're finding, especially in the last couple of years, is that clubs are using this as a way to kind of go beyond the orientation. That is, if a new member hasn't found their niche yet, if they go through the Rio Grande Academy and going through all of these different modules and all the different programs, and if they still can't find a niche, then Rotary may not be right for them. So it's actually becoming not necessarily a recruitment tool, but a way to help new Rotarians find what they're passionate about, because they're getting, a smorgasbord of everything you want to know about Rotary through the Rio Grande Academy.
Absolutely. And right. And sometimes I will encourage clubs. I say, if you don't have a program, send them to the Rio Grande Academy. If you don't have your own orientation, not only can they get a much better orientation and much more detailed, but then they can come back and set up a rotation, an orientation program for your club. So,
Well, Bruce, how many more of these webinars are they going to have that we could invite our members to participate in?
Well, the person to ask that is Jeff. Well, actually, I guess it's Rick Akins is Jeff's the overall coordinator. How many courses are we going to have this year, Jeff?
A lot of it just depended on how this week went. This was the first, trial of this technology, and based on no pressure, but based on the feedback you give us about how this went, we'll do as many as the district can as much as we can handle. I mean, if this is a good model, especially for the clubs that are not near Albuquerque or not near Santa Fe or Las Cruces, we'll do as many as we can handle. But a lot of it is based on your feedback.
Well, just because I know for our center, being so rural, having this type of a webinar or web access class would be really beneficial.
Oh, wait, I lost the last part of what you said there, Rick.
Well, having this type of a webinar or distance learning program would be very beneficial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so, and the neat thing is we've been trying ever since we started this program. Back in 2011, we had our very first class in Albuquerque. And ever since then, we've been trying to figure out how to get to the Grants and the Gallups and the Farmingtons and those guys that are out, that are out and about. And Hobbs, you guys are way off in the southeast corner. But what we've done is we have set up regional training sites, where you can come, for example, for Hobbs and for Carlsbad, you can either, I guess it's quicker, I don't know, what's closer to Carlsbad would be Las Cruces? I guess Las Cruces.
Neither.
No.
Well, Las Cruces or to go to Roswell.
No.
It's still
Roswell's about an hour.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Away from Las Cruces.
Right. But even still, it's a drive, right? With this, we won't have to worry about it. I mean, we don't have to worry about it. We can get to you. And we hope, as Jeff mentioned, I don't know if you guys were all at the session. I say those of you that were at yesterday's session, Jeff mentioned that one of the things we're going to try to do with this is expand it and try some different ideas such that getting groups together in the same room. In fact, yesterday we had 4 people at one site, I think, in Silver City.
Yep.
So we're trying different ways to get out because we think this would be a great way to help orient your new members. But it's not the only thing that you should do because we can't tell your new members about your club. We can tell them about Rotary, but we don't know how your club works. We don't know what jobs are available. We don't know what committees you have that have vacancies, or what your club's trying to do as far as service projects and that sort of thing. So that has to come from within. But I really do believe that RLI and the Rio Grande Academy can be a big help. So as usual, we spent way too much time on the first question. So let's move to the second one here real quick. And you guys, I sat in on yesterday's session, and we asked this question yesterday. Some of these things were a little bit redundant, but then this question is, why are you in your Rotary Club? Okay. And by that, I think they're saying, what brought you into Rotary? So I want to go through this very quickly. And here, Jesse, if you would record this for us. I want to hear, each person give me one reason why you are in your Rotary Club. And I'll start with anybody who would like to raise their hand. Okay. Very good, Deb.
Well, we've mentioned this several times, but I am the younger generation of young professionals, and I see a need to grow our young generation. So that is the one reason that I was asked to join Rotary, was because I am a female and younger generation, but I continue to stay in Rotary because I see the impact that it is making locally, the contributions that we make to our local organizations, but I also am very excited about the opportunities that we have through the district and internationally.
Okay. So you have, Jesse can capture that. Okay. Okay. You're seeing this as a way to impact not just where you are, but almost any place in the world. And then that, is that pretty much it?
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. Anybody else? I'm looking at Bill, but I can only see Bill Finley right now. Hold on a minute. See if anybody else is raising their hand. I'll take anybody.
Well, I'll jump in here. I was relatively new to Carlsbad just a couple of years ago. And I always, where I've lived before, up in the Northeast, I've always moved back to my community. And after talking with a couple of the neighbors and people who were involved with Rotary, including my boss, they thought this would be ideal for me, and it's turned out to be a very good fit. I'm a pretty giving person. I like to give my free time to charity and to events that I have a passion for, and this has just turned out to be a good fit for me.
Okay. Rick, what do you have to add?
Well, I've always, kind of like what was just said, I've always volunteered. I've volunteered since I was about 16. So it's always been a very important part of our lives as a family. But I joined Rotary and Grants, one, because we recognize several needs in the local community that are very much tied to the international challenges that we have for Rotary International and the projects that we want to work with because of all the diverse culture that we have out here, the extreme poverty that we have in this area. And Rotary was a good fit for my interests, not only working with seniors, but also working with the youth through the Interact Club and bringing up the future generations.
Okay, very good. Bill Dennis, what brought you into Rotary? And by the way, let me share with you that Bill Dennis and I are both retired Air Force colonels and pilots, and we worked together out at the air base here at Kirtland for a while. Yo, Bill. Did we lose him? Uh-oh. Lost his photo. Can't hear him. Okay. Okay, so we went a little bit beyond joined. We have some, not only why we joined, but also why we stay. But that's the next question is what keeps you in your Rotary Club? And you can see where we're going to go with this. But so let's see, already we have some ideas about staying. And the reason is we have the opportunity to, dare I say it, change the world. And we're about to do that with Polio Plus. It's incredible that within a year we may actually eliminate polio worldwide. So it is an opportunity not only to serve, but to make a difference. And one person said, I forget who said that, it turned out to be a good fit. We like the international aspects, like to work with seniors and youth. Anything else you'd like to add to what is it that keeps you in? Is there anything else? Is there anybody out there that think that where the programs have any impact on you? The programs that your clubs put on every week? Yeah.
I just have another. These people have become my friends and family. I spend more time with them than a lot of my own family.
Wow, that's good. And you know what? I feel the same way. A lot of my best friends in Albuquerque are the Rotarians in my club, and I really enjoy socializing with them. I certainly do a heck of a lot more with them than I do with people that I associate with work, even though I only work part-time now, semi-retired. Okay, so where do you think we're going to go with this? Now we have some reasons why we joined. Okay, always been a volunteer. We didn't get a lot of reasons why we're joined, but how many of you were actually asked to join? Okay,
I was.
And what else we got? Okay, everybody was. I was too, but I was not asked to be an active member. I was brought in as an honorary because I was still on active duty at the base. And the club wanted someone that could come on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis and just update on what was going on out there. But I enjoyed it so much that I decided to stay. So,
Bruce, can I interject for a second?
You may.
I'm showing that we started 5 minutes late, We would be wrapping up at 7:45.
Oh, okay. All right. So what we're getting at here is there are reasons why we join. There are reasons why we stay, and they might not be the same reasons. So it's really important, I think, to look at when you're looking at your new members. We need to be thinking in terms of why did they join? Why do they want to join? And once they get in, might be not a bad idea to check in with them every once in a while and say, hey, is this meeting your expectations? Remember, that was one of the things that I suggested that you ask early on. What are your expectations of Rotary? We need to know that so we can try and meet those expectations. If they want to jump in right away and start doing service projects, we can make that happen. We just got to know about it. But likewise, we have things that they need to know what we expect. Things like attendance, participation, that sort of stuff. It's a two-way street. So we're going to cut off of the, let's go ahead and take that one down, Jesse, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you very much. So this engagement thing, I think we've talked about the importance of it. If you can keep your new members engaged, they are going to stay with you. Okay. If they see that what they're doing is making a difference, if they enjoy what they're doing and it's a pleasant experience for them and it gives them an opportunity to accomplish some of the goals in life that they want to accomplish. Many people want to serve, but they just don't have an avenue. And that's what Rotary, provides for them. So now that we've talked about things that we can, that we stay for, what kind of strategies then can we use to engage our members? Let's start from the day we first meet them. What's one of the strategies that, you've got somebody you think might be a good Rotarian. What's the first thing we would want to do? We want to obviously invite them to a meeting, right? Is that all? Is there anything else we could do?
Well, but I think we need to learn more about them outside of the club. What are their interests? What are their passions? And like I said, you don't often get that in a 50 meeting lunch, once a week. Sometimes you have to set up outside, or visit their business and talk about something that, you have mutual interest in. I think that's the important part, is giving them the framework to network with the existing members.
Right. Okay, good. Anything else? Anybody else?
On that last point, how many of you have a regular social activity to really accomplish what Bill was just suggesting? If you don't, you might consider it every month. My club does. Every month we go out to some different restaurant or bar, or sometimes somebody's home.
Yep. And our club has what we call freeloaders. Tongue in cheek, where we have it's a potluck every month. We try to do it every month, except for Christmas and Thanksgiving months, stuff like that. But on a regular basis, we have one member will host, and everyone that attends brings a meal. They bring beer, wine, whatever their favorite libation is, and we get together. And we try to get our new members there as quickly as possible, because it's a great way for them to meet people in a social atmosphere. And it's neat that people open their homes, because people enjoy that too. So much nicer than it's restaurants work, but this works even better, I think. Any other strategies now that they're in? Once they come in, what is the big problem that happens with new members once they're inducted?
They leave.
They don't come back.
They don't come back, and the reason is why, Deb?
Because their sponsor doesn't remember to invite them.
Yeah, we lose track of them. I'll tell you what, be careful. The most critical time for your new members is that first 6 weeks or so after they come in. We have the big, hullabaloo. We have a great celebration bringing them in, and all of a sudden we forget about them. It takes a while to get them into the computer, to get their information logged in, so they can be signed into the website or whatever. And we sort of forget about them unless you have somebody looking over their shoulder, a mentor. I'd really recommend mentorships. Somebody that can keep track of them, that will note if they miss 2 meetings in a row, give them a call, find out if anything's going on. People enjoy that, okay? So But the next most important thing is when you do have an orientation of some time, you've got to let them know, here's what the club is doing. Here's where we could use your help, and try to nail it down right away, what it is that they can do, what do they bring to the table, and get them involved as soon as possible.
Bruce, it's funny you mentioned that. That was a topic of conversation a couple weeks ago. Some of our older members were sort of reminiscing that if a club member missed a particular Wednesday lunch, a couple people would go over to the person's business and say, "Is everything okay? You didn't show up today, etc." We don't do that kind of thing anymore. We don't go back and say, "Is something wrong with you, or is something happening, or whatever." So that's what I'm saying. That it's almost like a disengagement process.
Right, and it does take manpower to do that, people power. To be able to do that sort of thing. And I don't know whether you want to do it right after the first miss, that they have. But after 2 or 3, I would certainly want to track them down, or at least send them an email or a phone call. Yeah. Something that's a little more personal than an email, right. I think is good. Okay, well, I see that by the clock on the wall that we are out of time. I went a little bit over. Sorry, Jeff. But I strongly recommend that you take a look at some of these other materials, particularly No Success Without Succession. That is an excellent talking paper about bringing Generation X and Y and the millennials for that matter, into Rotary. Okay? All right, 5 minutes, Jeff?
Yeah, is everyone okay if we start at 7:55?
Sure.
Works for me.
Okay.
I'm okay, Jeff. I may have to leave at 8:15, though.
Not a problem.
Bruce, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Can't see you, Bill, but I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm having all kinds of problems with this connection.
Is it your internet provider?
I think it's what are those things that plug in? It seems to be loose.
Oh, the connector.
I'm having to hold it, all the time. We're moving around.
So I don't want to draw any conclusions, but Bill and Dom are both in the same club.
Yeah, I know.
And are both having issues tonight. So again, no trends here, just kind of an interesting happenstance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
need a new camera.
Subject. As I said before, I thought I'd try and do my own typing. If I change my mind midstream, who would be my scribe?